Back again for another video. On today's topic, we'll be talking about the way men view women and where they go wrong about that. So, I remember there was a story not too long ago about, I think it was a guy in Brooklyn, if I'm not mistaken, and he had an alligator, a lion, and some other animals in his small Brooklyn apartment. And this was deemed a threat to the locals, of course, because if those things got out, they could have did some damage to unsuspecting bystanders. He ended up getting arrested for that. But the guy, he really loved animals. I think they did a ID on him. Like the ID channel. I think they, I forgot which show did it, but they did a special on him, and what happened to him and how he came about all this. But anyways, he didn't have the proper things in order to take care of a lion or an alligator. Therefore, it was deemed as a threat. At any point in time, he could have fell victim to these animals. And we've seen this happen to many people before, where they don't take the proper precautions and they don't take the proper caretaking of these animals, and they become victims of these animals because they let their guards down at sometimes, or they didn't have the proper structures in order to maintain these animals in the first place. Why I bring this up? Because once again, this topic is about how men view women and how they deal with women. This is very similar, in my opinion. This is very similar. I was talking to my submissives today, and I was telling her about some of the things that I've been through with women, and she was very shocked and surprised about these things. But even to her, I told her, I was like, I have been through these things. And she said, well, I just want to make your life a whole lot better. I feel like this is what I'm supposed to do for all the things that have happened to you, the things that you've been through horribly with women. And I told her, I was like, no need at all. There's no point of doing that, because I learned proper lessons behind these things. The things that were not taught to me by my forefathers about women. And I learned them in a very harsh way. This is where we get the notion of these women aren't as safe as you think they are. You can't really trust them as much as you would like to. And this coincides with the story that I was telling you earlier about the guy in Brooklyn who had the lion and the alligator. How this correlates? Well, what is a one-for-one when it comes to a wild animal and women? Now, I'm not comparing women to necessarily wild animals, even though some behave like that, but that's not the case here. I'm comparing them in their natures, because why can't you trust a lion? Because its nature is to be a predator. That's why. As soon as you turn your back, he could be at your throat. And this is no different than a woman. A woman's nature is chaotic. We all understand this. I mean, we keep saying this over and over here in the manosphere, that a woman's nature is chaotic. So this is the one for one when it comes to these predatory animals and a woman, that their natures are unpredictable. And the key thing about this is that they are undomesticated. Here's one thing that you men should understand, and you women definitely should understand, that a woman's nature has never been domesticated, nor has a man's nature. A man's nature is attempting, or excuse me, society is attempting and has been attempting for a long time to domesticate a man's nature, but you cannot. We don't have, civilization has not been around long enough in order to domesticate a nature in regards to humans. our civilization anyways, and our set of structures and, these things, because domestication takes thousands and thousands and thousands of years. This isn't something that you can do in a couple hundred years. You cannot domesticate one's nature. I'll take that back just a little bit, because Black people in America, their nature, as from where they came from, has been domesticated. Not completely, but enough to notice that there's a change in how we were and what we would come to be, and how we even view ourselves. We view ourselves as being this people, but the larger society is pressing upon us a different outlook of who we should be. And some are succumbing to that. Some have succumbed to that. White supremacy is widespreading, and it's been around for a very long time. So it's had an indoctrination process of the domestication of Black people for about 400 years. How long have we been here? So we see some semblance of the effects of the domestication of Black people, but we are not completely domesticated. Just want to make that clear, because we're not completely with white supremacy. But some would argue that. I'm not here to argue that. So, but anyways, back to what I was saying. Men seem to assume that women have been domesticated in their nature. And likewise, women seem to assume that men have been domesticated in their nature. This is where I think the fundamental basis of where we're getting things wrong when it comes to the unspoken contracts that we have between each other. Because women expect something unrealistic of men, and men, I hate to say it, but it's true. Y'all expect unrealistic expectations of women. And what I mean by this is you expect this woman to become to be domesticated when she meets you. Here's something that you should know. Women's nature has never been domesticated. It's only been contained. That's the difference. Men seem to think that these women are have been domesticated. They say, well, the women of today are not like how they used to be. Well, that's not necessarily true. They have always been what they have always been. We've said this plenty of times, but I'm here to spell out exactly what this means and what this looks like. The women back then, they were just as bad as the women are now. What makes the difference of what a woman does and appears to be? What makes that difference? It's what I spoke on before, containing a woman's chaos. It's no different than a wild animal. If you have the proper containment for a wild animal, if you have a proper containment for a woman's chaos, you can bypass the domestication of that animal or that nature while keeping it and maintaining it. That's what I've been trying to impose in regards to thoughts upon you. Because men, if you do not have the proper cage, you don't have the proper structure, you don't have the proper maintenance for maintaining a woman's chaos, then you'll fall victim to it. That's essentially what's been happening all over and over and over again, is that men who are not trained well in the proper containment of a woman's chaos and the caretaking of a woman's chaos fall victim to it. No different than those lions who have killed people in recent years and time again. It's because they didn't follow protocol. They didn't have a protocol, or if they did, they didn't adhere to it as much as they should. They left the cage open, or they were trying to feed it when at a time that they shouldn't, or they just didn't have the proper structure to deal with the animal in the first place, and they fell victim to the nature of that animal. This is no different than a woman. If you do not have the proper structure, if you do not have the proper protocol in order to maintain a woman's chaos, you will fall victim to it. Period. It doesn't matter. And to think that just because your lion is a little cuter than the rest of them, or you feel like you can trust your lion more than you can trust the average lion, and you become lax to that lion, you're going to fall victim to it. It's no different than a woman. If you think that your woman is a little bit more domesticated than other women are, and you go lax on your protocols, or you come down off your structure a little bit, you're going to fall victim to her chaos. That's just how it works. There's nothing to argue about in regards to this. I don't know why people, especially men, tend to think that we can bend reality at our will. We can't do that. It takes time for us to do this, and it takes know-how to do this. We can, but we can't do it at our will, especially in regards to nature. None of the roads, none of the mountains that have been dug into, none of the earth, none of the structures, none of this stuff came instantaneously. It came with a plan. It came with blueprints. It came with planning ahead. It came with making sure that you had all the materials. It came with everything that you needed in order to accomplish that goal. And this is no different than women. You need to have yourself in check before you even take on a woman, because once again, that's just like an average Joe Schmo out here just going to go buy a lion because he can, and don't have the proper structure and don't have the proper understanding of the nature of the lion to caretake for it, and while maintaining a safe distance away from it in order to not become a victim to that same animal. This is no different than women. We like to liken, the women and the women and the men to lions. Well, why aren't we treating them like that? Why aren't we, behaving like that? Women, you understand that you cannot change a male lion's nature. Men, you should likewise understand that you cannot change female's lion's nature. So why is no one adhering to what the natures of these animals are? Why are we discounting what the core nature of the beast is, male or female? Why are we doing that? So it will be incumbent upon you to make sure that you understand enough thorough knowledge about a woman's nature and how to maintain it, how to create the structure for it, how to house it in order to not become a victim to it, and as well to caretake for it, because you have to caretake for a woman. Her and her nature can't be separated, so you have to. Just no different than the lion. The lion isn't always in predatory mode. So you have to caretake for the lion as much as you have to caretake for its predation. So you have to feed it properly, and you also have to cage it properly. And this is no different than a woman. But to add on what I was saying earlier, we seem to believe that these women were different a long time ago. Like I said, they have not. They've always been this way. What makes them different in their appearance is how men caretake for them, how men created the structure for them. That's what made them a difference in regards to their nature and how it exhibited itself. The woman itself did not change. The woman has always been the woman. The woman will always be the woman. It's the structure around the woman and the caretaking for that woman and her nature that exhibited a different outcome in what we see of past society. That's the key to this. So don't by any means think that a woman's nature was domesticated back then. It has never been, and it never will be. But anyways, like, comment, and share. Check me out on Facebook. Check me out on Patreon. But until next time, this has been a Wolf and Beta Close. May you have a good day, and peace be with you.